Christ is among us. I found an awesome new quote that I wanted to share with you, or new to me. It's not a new quote. It's actually from Bishop Irenaeus of Lyon, and forgive me if I said it incorrectly. But a very important church father, and lots of great wisdom from him. But the quote that I heard was, "If your heart overflows with faith and love for God, you will find 1,002 ways to pass on these feelings to your child." And I wanted to use that quote to kick off and introduce to you my new series that I'm going to be doing based on this book, A Guide to the Domestic Church. So as you know, I've always keyed in on sharing liturgical living tips, which really is centered on the domestic church, the home. And so I wanted today to share with you really what is the domestic church, what does that mean to me from what I have learned and studied over time, and what that might look like in your home as well. So basically, the domestic church is the idea that the family is the first unit of faith. So the family is the context where your child first learns who God is, what he expects of them, how much he loves them, and what they might do in response to that love and that call from God. So our home should reflect the faith that we want to convey to our children. And just like the quote said, if your own heart is overflowing with love for God, it's going to show in 1,000 and more ways through your home. But if we want to just kind of draw that analogy across, and we look at our church parish and what that might mean for our own home with our families. So as I was thinking about that, the first thing that comes to mind when I think about the church that we attend on Sundays and for our prayers and things like that is that the church has a particular design that we expect. I visited a friend's parish today for their child's baptism, and while it was a brand new parish to me, when I went in, I recognized the same narthex, the same nave, the same iconostasis, the saints in order as we would expect. So churches have a design and are beautifully put together. And so in the same way, our home should be designed and beautifully put together and ordered towards God, ordered towards living the faith. So that doesn't mean you need $1 million decorating budget or even to hire a fancy decorator. It simply means that within our home, there should be obvious design that we are ordering our family and our lives towards Christ. So to me, that means having a crucifix either over your door or as someone walks in, one of the first things that they see. Having the icon corner where your family comes to pray. Having your children's name saints in their rooms, their icons in their rooms. Having your home blessed. So each year during Theophany, that season is when we ask our parish priest to come and bless our home. So in the design, in the order of the actual home, we want to order ourselves similarly to how churches are ordered around God, and making that faith a central focus point, even just in the way our home looks. The second point is that not only is the church parish ordered around its design, it's ordered around the seasons. So the liturgical feasts, times of fasting, times of feasting, there is an order to the year. And it's an order that we can expect, whether we're here or in Africa or South America, wherever we are living, Canada. I have a lot of friends in Canada. Wherever you are living, that same order is retained around fasting and feasting and ordering our days around the saints. And so in our home, we need to do the same thing. We need to incorporate these seasons of feasting and fasting, and we need to acknowledge those feasts with our families, with our children, with the ways that we eat, the ways that we do all of our activities. And some of those concrete ways might mean, for example, we don't allow our kids to sign up for a lot of extracurriculars during Lent, during Lent, that time is for additional prayer. And so we sacrifice extracurriculars during that season so that we can focus on Christ and the extra church services. Another example is we have some friends of a different faith who homeschool with us on Fridays. And so we have lunch together, but just right off the bat, I shared we don't eat meat on Fridays. And so we've just had mac and cheese, peanut butter and jelly, lots of great little simple meatless dishes. And we're able to share our faith in that very practical and simple and non-invasive way, but maintaining the integrity of our feasting and fasting lifestyle. The third point, of course, is that the church is a place of prayer, and your home should be a place of prayer as well. I've talked several times with you about establishing routines of prayer life, and it needs to first be set with the parents. Mom and dad need to have a prayer life of their own, and then they can lead by example to create a prayer life for the family. But children love to pray. We just need to teach them, who God is, and allow them to speak with him and allow that prayer life to be expressed. And it doesn't have to be rote prayers, though sometimes that's a great place to start, is the church provides us with the hours, lots of different prayers that we can memorize or read and recite together, but it also can be just prayers of the heart. But the bottom line is that the home is a place of prayer. The next point that I had, I think when we think of our church, hopefully we also think of our church as a place of forgiveness and a place of rest. And in the same way, our home should be a place where our family members can find forgiveness and find rest and peace. And so we need to create that atmosphere where husband and wife make amends when they have an argument and model that behavior for their children. And in the same way, when our children make mistakes, as all children will do, as all of us do, there needs to be forgiveness and peace that's found there. And there needs to be time for quiet and time for rest. I think our culture has really encouraged us to maintain a pace that isn't good for our souls. And I think COVID has really helped a lot of us to reevaluate those priorities. And as we start coming out of quarantine, what activities we want to add back in. But I would really encourage you to consider taking on less, to add more time for peace and quiet within your home and within your family. The next point that I have, and I'm coming to the end here, I promise, is fellowship and hospitality. Our Eastern churches are known for our social hours after liturgy, for our dances and our festivals. And I think that's really something special and something that's been lost in more modern times, and something that we've been able to hold on to. And so in the same way, our home should be a place of hospitality. Make the effort to invite others over, and perhaps especially friends from church, or making new friends from church. Even myself, I find myself shy, or inviting the same people over. And this past year, I really made a goal for myself to stretch myself and invite people over who I hadn't invited in the past, or who I wouldn't normally think to invite. And it's been really amazing, and some really neat friendships have been built from just having that courage to ask people. And when we want to build a community that will support us in this domestic life, church life, and in our faith life, we need to find friends who also have those same goals. And those are going to be the people that you're going to church with. So create friendships if you don't already have them. Make your home a place of hospitality. And when school friends come over, they'll also see your faith, and then the opportunity for conversation and evangelization is there as well. And then the last point that I had is that every parish has its own personality, has its own strengths and weaknesses. And in the same way, your family is going to have its own personality, its own strengths and weaknesses. It's not going to look just like mine. But that doesn't make it any less or any more a domestic church. When we are married, we are set as king and queen of our own domestic church, to guide each other to heaven, and to bring our children along with us. And so in the coming weeks, I am going to be doing, as I mentioned, a series based on this book, A Guide to the Domestic Church. This is available through my diocese, the Melkite Eparchy of Newton. available online to purchase, but certainly you don't have to have the book to follow along. Each week I'll come out with just a new piece from the material here so that we can all work on building up our own domestic churches and new practices that we might already not be incorporating and that we can now incorporate into our lives. So I'd love to hear from you if you made it to the end here. What you're doing in your domestic church to model your family after your church parish, and how you are building the faith in your home with your families. God bless.